The wilderness was silent, save for the soft rustle of the trees. No footsteps, no voices. Only the eerie stillness of the Bennington Triangle, where 5 souls had vanished without a trace. They had entered the forest, never to return, swallowed whole by an unseen force. But something remained. Something was still watching. Each disappearance had been a mystery, and yet the forest offered no answers, only more shadows. Now, as the wind howled through the ancient trees, one question lingered in the cold air. What truly waits in the heart of Glastonbury Mountain? And who will it take next? Tucked away in the wilderness of southern Vermont lies a place many believe to be cursed, the Bennington Triangle. This area, known for its rugged forests, ancient mountains, and remote isolation, became the stage for a series of real-life vanishings, each more disturbing than the last. Between 1945 and 1950, 5 people mysteriously disappeared without a trace, swallowed by the forest in ways that defy explanation. Despite extensive searches and investigations, no bodies were ever found. This is the true and unsettling story of the Bennington Triangle, a forgotten chapter of eerie vanishings that remains unsolved to this day. The first recorded disappearance took place in November 1945. Middie Rivers, an experienced woodsman and hunter, was leading a group of hikers through the Long Trail, a wilderness path that runs through the Bennington area. At 74 years old, Middie was familiar with the terrain, having spent most of his life in the Vermont wilderness. But on this particular day, something went horribly wrong. As the group hiked back toward their campsite, Middie got ahead of them, promising he would meet them at the next stop. When the group arrived, Middie was nowhere to be found. Hours passed, and the hikers became increasingly concerned. Search parties were organized, and for weeks, local authorities combed through the dense forest, calling out Middie's name. Despite their efforts, not a single trace of Middie Rivers was ever discovered. His disappearance became the first of many to plague the Bennington Triangle. The next year, on December 1st, 1946, a second disappearance rattled the area. Paula Welden, an 18-year-old college student, set out to hike the Long Trail, the same path where Middie had disappeared. Paula was last seen by a few locals who passed her on the trail and said she seemed in good spirits. As dusk approached and temperatures dropped, Paula had not returned to her dormitory. Search teams were dispatched immediately, this time with bloodhounds and military personnel. The region was combed thoroughly, but Paula had vanished without a trace. Her disappearance gained national attention, sparking rumors of foul play, yet no clues emerged. It was as if she had simply stepped off the earth and into thin air. Her case remains one of the most baffling in Vermont history. 3 years later, in 1949, the Bennington Triangle claimed its next victim in one of the strangest disappearances yet. James Tedford, a 68-year-old war veteran, was traveling by bus to Bennington after visiting family. Witnesses confirmed seeing him aboard the bus as it neared the town. However, when the bus arrived at the final stop, Tedford was gone. His luggage and personal belongings remained on board, neatly arranged, but there was no sign of it. Passengers insisted that Tedford had been sitting in his seat just moments before the bus arrived in Bennington. How could someone vanish in front of so many witnesses without being seen? The questions only deepened the mystery, and once again no trace of the missing man was ever found. In October of 1950, another disappearance occurred, this time involving an 8-year-old boy named Paul Jepson. Paul was with his mother on a routine trip near the Glastonbury Mountain area, a key location within the Bennington Triangle. His mother left him briefly in the truck while she completed some chores, but when she returned, Paul was gone. Searchers described an eerie sense of foreboding as they scoured the area. Bloodhounds were brought in to follow Paul's scent, but the dogs reportedly lost the trail at the exact same spot where Paula Welden had disappeared 4 years earlier. Despite widespread efforts, no sign of the boy was ever found, adding to the growing fear and suspicion surrounding the region. The final disappearance occurred just weeks later, on October 28, 1950. This time, a 53-year-old woman named Frieda Langer went missing while hiking with her cousin. During their hike, Frieda slipped into a stream and told her cousin she would return to their campsite to change clothes. She was never seen again. Unlike the previous disappearances, however, Frieda's body was eventually discovered. In May of the following year, her remains were found in an open field, a location that had already been searched multiple times. The state of her body was so decomposed that no cause of unaliving could be determined, but the fact that her remains had appeared in an area previously cleared by searchers raised unsettling questions. Was her body placed there after the fact, or had searchers somehow missed it the first time around? The disappearances within the Bennington Triangle have sparked countless theories. Some locals believe the area is cursed, haunted by the spirits of Native American tribes that once inhabited the land. Others suggest that the rugged terrain of Glastonbury Mountain holds hidden dangers, crevasses or sinkholes capable of swallowing people whole without a trace. There are also those who speculate that something darker may be at play. Could a serial unaliver have been responsible for these vanishings, carefully selecting victims in a pattern too complex to understand? Or was it possible that the wilderness itself was somehow sentient, luring travelers into its depths only to consume them in silence? Despite the numerous investigations, the true cause of these disappearances remains elusive. Over the years, the area around the Bennington Triangle has become known as a place where the land itself seems to hold on to its secrets. Whether through natural forces or something far more sinister, those who venture too close to its heart may find themselves lost forever, just like Middie Rivers, Paula Welden, and the others who disappeared into the fog of time. The Bennington Triangle is a real-life mystery that still haunts the region today. 5 people, each vanishing under inexplicable circumstances, have left behind a legacy of fear, suspicion, and unease. The wilderness of Glastonbury Mountain stands as a silent witness to these events, its thick forests and rugged terrain concealing the answers that have eluded investigators for decades. To this day, no explanation has been found, and the disappearances remain some of the most unsettling in American history. Those who know the story warn travelers to tread carefully in the Bennington Triangle, for what was once forgotten may still be waiting, hidden among the trees and shadows.